So today I'm going to talk about something that I could go on and on about, and that's athlete mental health. So with this video, I'm going to focus on the extent to which athletes are more susceptible to mental health symptoms and disorders than the general population and kind of why. So we're asked to decide whether this is more or less the case, and I would say it's absolutely more. To answer these questions, I'm going to be pulling from my own personal experience, but also kind of a series of published works. From my athletic perspective, first and foremost, the first thing I want to address is what a stigma is. And it's a mark that's associated with any particular circumstance, quality, or person. For those that are not aware, my sport of choice is running. And everybody hears it all the time throughout the athletic world that my sport is your sport's punishment. That's a comment that always I just brush off. It doesn't really ever faze me, but it represents that stigma and the perception about running. It's a backhanded compliment almost. Um, so, according to the NCAA, the most common psychiatric disorders in student athletes fit into 10 generalized categories, including anxiety disorders, mood and personality disorders, ADHD, eating disorders, and body dysmorphic disorder, adjustment disorders, substance use disorders, and impulse control disorders. Out of all of those disorders, anxiety is nearest the top of the list with frequency, and that includes both performance anxiety and generalized anxiety. Um, and that can be in the present moment and after sustaining an injury. Speaking from personal experience, it is a genuine barrier. Some statistics I had found from December 2023, just in general about college athlete mental health, were that student athletes are roughly 2 to 3 times more likely to develop symptoms of depression compared to non-athletes in college. And looking at that number even closer, it's the female student athletes that are 3.28 times more likely to experience clinically significant depression rates than male student athletes. If you think about it, just being in school is difficult enough with the pressures that exist for that alone, being able to pass courses, make progress towards a degree, to graduate. Student athletes face all that and then some. There's always any internal pressure they put on themselves, both consciously and unconsciously, and any pressure that's added by a coach, it can really turn into a pressure cooker situation. They spend their time, energy, effort, and they put it into developing skills for their sport, and it can throw off the balance across the rest of their life if something goes awry. In daily life, people face issues like burnout, disordered eating, anxiety, depression, and those are all very real issues, but they impact both non-athletes and athletes. For me, as a student athlete, when I was competing, I felt like one of those circus acts that would juggle. I was constantly faced with the challenge of trying to keep all those figurative little balls in the air all at the same time without ever dropping any. And that could be just my perfectionism in me speaking, but that's also how I am and who I am. I'm a type A personality through and through, and one thing I've always faced and still to this day face is anxiety, whether it was on a track, on any other starting line that I've come across in life, and even other areas outside of that athletic realm. Back in the early 2010s, I probably wouldn't have labeled it as related to mental health, but now I know better. There's always any number of things that I battle back and forth, even within myself.